Everyone buckle up because this is our combined America's power ranking, including both CONCACAF and CONMEBOL. You will hear things in this video that make you smile. You will hear things that make you very, very angry. And at the end of the day, there will be no mercy shown to any teams involved. No quarter given, no prisoners, just straight ball knowledge. Before we get into the rankings, if you guys could drop a like on the video, let us know where you would put your nation down below in the comments, and hit subscribe for more videos like this and covering the Americas here on Deadball TV. Connor, let's start at 15. Usually we do honorable mentions. We ain't got time for that today. Who is your 15th best team in the Americas right now?
Okay, now some of these that I'm going to bring up probably have a little bit of bias. I gave myself some grace and some leeway because this is going to be like an updated, living, breathing list that we're going to keep alive. And right now, I gave myself some grace because there's going to be some personal opinion here. You know, if this is the first time that I start my metric, I'm very okay being wrong. Now, that being said, if I place a team low, that doesn't mean I dislike them. If I place a team high, that doesn't mean that I really like them.
We're getting the disclaimers out of the way early here.
We're getting them out of the way early. I'm sure I will. I'm just an apologist through and through for things that have to do with me, things that don't have to do with me. So let's just get that out of the way. Talking about something that has nothing to do with me, but I'm very fond of, is Honduras. Shout out Honduras. And unfortunately, they are at 15 on my list. Because I'm going to give you something right now. Nothing that they have done in their last 5 games matters except for the games against Mexico. The draw against Jamaica, frankly, it's a nothing burger. Take it or leave it. You went up 2-0 against Mexico. You fumbled the bag. And I'm sorry, that puts you on my radar, but I cannot give you any credit for it, unfortunately. So shout out Honduras. I wish I had them picked for the upset. I'm not upset with them. They did very well. I thought they fought valiantly, at least in the first game. And shout out. That gets you 15. That gets you 15 for me.
Okay, I respect it. And the Hondurans will be ecstatic that they were mentioned in the top 15 in this video. So y'all better drop a like. At 15, I'm going to stay in the same region of Central America, but I have Costa Rica and Los Ticos at 15. Now, my whole thing with Costa Rica, very quickly, this team, in my opinion, is about 2 years away from being good. There's a lot of young talent, especially in the attack. These guys are pretty stacked, but you got to let them marinate a little bit. They're not quite ready.
Leave them in the oven.
Leave them in the oven. Leave them, I was going to say the parrilla, but they're going to burn. Don't do that. Leave them in the oven because there's still some big weaknesses with this team. They probably need a different manager. They've been thoroughly dominated by now arch rivals Panama recently, and I think that's my data point for why they're not quite ready to take that next step. But let's not forget, at the Copa America, they had a valiant showing. They have special potential, but they're not there yet. They're still kind of an annoying team that a lot of other nations wouldn't want to go up against, but they kind of have a soft underbelly right now. That's why I got them 15. Did they make your list?
No. They were just out, but I mean, they would have been an honorable mention, I feel.
Okay, I think I would have had Honduras 17. Maybe 16.
I'm gonna level with you when I kind of like having a list that you have to fight to get into. It shouldn't be easy. If you drop out of the 15, I don't want to rank you. I'm sorry. And frankly, Honduras, yeah, maybe I'm giving a little bit of grace here. I was really happy with the result that they got against Mexico the first game. So I had to give them a little bit of credit, just a nod for that. But 15 to me, first man out.
No, dude, it's not a bad shout. I mean, it wasn't a fluke either. Mexico have lost 2-0 2 times in a row away to Honduras. Do they lose 2-0 away 2 games in a row against Costa Rica? No, I don't think they do. Do they lose 2-0 2 games in a row against Jamaica? Hell no. It's not a bad shout. Yeah, they were right there for me. But let's move on to 14 just because we got to go through these.
Let's do it. 14 and immediately, 15 I'm pretty confident in. 14, the whole list starts to fall apart because I feel like these guys should be way higher. But I got Panama.
Oh! Okay, little disrespectful.
It's a little disrespectful, but let's talk about Panama. They have 1 win in their last 5. They've lost to your boys, or rather, no, sorry, they went through against your boys, but it was a draw. They've lost to Canada, United States, and obviously Colombia. What are you gonna do there? But to me, it's just I need to see some more results here. I got to see some more results here, and it's like you're showing me decent performances, but you haven't done anything. At least nothing that I can really extrapolate positive thoughts from. At least Honduras went and they got 2-0 against Mexico. They made me hope. Panama, It's like always good. Carrasquilla, I want that next step. Get him into Europe. He needs to take the next step. I don't know what there is. There's a missing link here. It's a little bit disrespectful, but dude, I just need to see something else.
I think if you could summarize Panama, it's so close yet so far away. I will reveal that I have Panama at 11. I got them pretty high. I'm very bullish on this team. Borderline simping for this team.
Listen, there's no reason to not. Like, if you want to go off of FIFA rankings, which we really hesitate to do here. I mean, if we liked that, we would have just gone with the FIFA rankings.
Would have been a 2-minute video.
Over the last 4 years, they have done nothing but improve, sometimes rather starkly. In, what is this, 2019, they were 75th. They're sitting at 36 now.
They doubled, or I guess cut in half. Yeah, you guys know what I'm trying to say.
The point is, they are steadily increasing. It's just not fast enough lately for me to rate them as one of the hot teams here. Because, listen, make all the jokes about CONCACAF and CONMEBOL that you want. World football overall is a much easier list to climb than this one right here.
All right, my bull argument for Panama a little bit. They did make the knockouts of the Copa America, which I do think makes them a fringe top 10 team in the Americas because it was a combined CONCACAF, CONMEBOL, Copa America. And I think they are firmly the kings of Central America and you will kneel before Panama. So that's not enough to be top 10, but I have them right out. They're like the Brighton, maybe Panama's like the Tottenham of the Americas. They play pretty football. They create a lot of chances, but you got Timo Werner in the box trying to put the chances away.
Yeah, you're going to sell the game against Chelsea that you were leading 2-0 in the first half. Yeah.
100%. If Panama had Raul Jimenez or Jonathan David, no bullshit, they'd probably be 8th, somewhere like that. This team would be freaking scary. But instead, they have Jose Fajardo, and that's why they're 11.
Don't do that. You gotta be careful. I'm recovering from pneumonia right now, folks. So
you've been chronically sick for literally the last 2 months, which actually coincides perfectly with the national team I have at 14th, who have also been chronically sick. The sick man of South America. I have Chile at 14. And let me be very clear. If Chile did not beat Venezuela at home and score 4 goals in the last game, they would have been 15th, and I would have had Costa Rica at 14. But I think that and what little remains of my respect for Gareca has them at 14, but they're not a good side at all in any metric.
No, they're a bad side.
They're a bad team.
I did not have Chile 14th, obviously. I don't even have them 13th. I have them 12th. But let me go for 13th with you. I really don't have any arguments against that. Like, that's totally fair and valid. I feel like a lot of this is going to be pretty speculative here. I have Jamaica 13th.
Okay, this is where you and I strongly disagree. But make your argument.
They're not a good team. You scored 2 goals against a United States men's national team that is still struggling to find its identity. And then what? You have a good performance against Nicaragua and Honduras. I'm sorry, that doesn't. What do you want me to say about it? You somebody want a cookie? I can't do that. This team, at not necessarily the polar opposite or the counterpoint to Panama, but they've been slowly declining. It looks like they were just above 60th. We'll call it 50th in 2019. They're sitting at 62nd right now in the FIFA rankings. I don't know. This is a team that should be on paper. We talk about it all the time. They should be one of the top 3 teams in CONCACAF, and they're not.
They are potential FC.
They are what if FC. I cannot give them any credit. I will go. I do not like Chile. They're a rival of mine, right? I like Gareca, but I just have to go. Frankly, I'm going South American pedigree to put Chile over them at this point because Chile are a bad team. I'm going so far as to say that Jamaica is a bad team too. If you're finding potential now, if you're finding a slight bump in performance by taking out all of your starters and starting fresh, that's fine, good. I need to see more. I need to see results from them. If they had won either one of the games against the United States and still lost the double fixture overall, I'd be comfortable switching them with Chile. But Chile's got a result. Boom, you're above.
Here's why Jamaica's not in my top 15.
They're not in your top 15?
They're not in my top 15.
Oh, dog, I was about to have words for you. I thought you had them higher. I was horrified for a second.
Are you kidding me? I think I'm selling on Jamaica harder than anyone on YouTube.
Okay, thank God. Okay,
No,
I was about to sit here. I was like, this man's gonna have him at 10.
No, I think you are flattering these boys so hard with the top 15. These guys suck. They absolutely suck. Their best result in the last 2 years is beating Canada away when they had an interim manager. That's it. If Jamaica were in CONMEBOL and had Chile's qualification schedule, I shit you you not, they would have 2 draws and every single other game would be an L. They are abysmally bad. There's drama, there's no cohesion. You're appointing a extremely questionable manager after you had a pretty good one in Halgrimsson. Oh, these boys are going nowhere fast. I'm so sick of them. I'm starting to despise this national team because of how much press they get and how little is actually done. No, you're not in the top 15. You are Honduras level 16, 17 out for me. That's what I would say. They're just terrible. How about this? Let's reveal 13 through 10 at the same time. So we'll go 4 teams in a row and then we'll just discuss what we think. So why don't you go your 13, 12, 11, 10. I'll do the same and then we'll discuss.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
I have Jamaica 13th, Chile 12th, Peru 11, and Mexico 10.
Okay. We both have Mexico at 10. Quick words.
Dude, where do you even start? Honestly, wanted to put Mexico and Peru at the same level. I wanted, and I've got some teams. I've only got 2 teams that tied for a spot. Okay, I did a good job there. I think I had 3 teams that were sort of in the same spots, but I was able to switch them up. Yeah, Mexico, Peru, they just feel the same to me. I feel like the eye test is very similar. Sometimes they get it done and you're like, wow, okay, what else? And there's nothing else. No, it's like, okay, are we going to build from this? Nope. It feels like you're seeing, I see it in like terms of basketball, like a basketball shot. Like you watch the man, or even soccer, they do there's like a good little dribble, they win a game, they beat their man, and then, okay, we got a shot on goal. They're going to take the shot, air ball. With it. You're like, what happened? How am I supposed to draw any conclusive evidence from this outside of the fact that you can't finish? You can't do it. I'm sorry. Sometimes we'll see Peru get really down and dirty and scrappy. Who's their big win that they just
Uruguay.
had?
1-0
Against Uruguay. And I know that it's not the best Uruguay that we've seen, right? Far from it. But you've got that going on, and then Mexico can beat this United States that were really intimidated, or that we're supposed to be, in fear of, but they don't have Christian Pulisic. They're playing the game in Mexico. Like, I don't know. What sort of evidence am I supposed to draw from here? A lot of this just feels like a nothing burger, and it's just kind of a bummer. But that's why I got those guys right there. Frankly, it's to the point where I look at Chile and I'm like, all right, well, Chile, the fact that they can score 4 goals, does that put them above Mexico? 4 goals in a game? Does that put them again up above Mexico? Mexico scored 4 goals in a game. It's against Honduras. And, as mediocre as Venezuela's been, they're still better than those teams. I don't know. Dude, that was kind of a tough one for me. I wish I could give more positive or more negative, but I just look at it and I'm like, what do you want me to do here? So that's where I feel for them as a metric. Top 10, I'd be okay with them right outside of it too. Again, first man out.
Yeah, for Mexico, I just think painfully average at pretty much everything. And that's why I think 10 is appropriate. Team fights really hard. I think there have been marginal improvements under Aguirre, especially on the defensive side. We have a couple more players in the club scene that are a little bit more in form now. So I think that's helping more so than it is like tactical adjustments. I think Mexico, of any team on this list, probably has the widest range of rankings for people watching. So where would you put Mexico? Let us know in the comments. I could see anywhere from like 9 to 13. Like, I think there's a big ass range for these guys. And that's because I don't think anybody, I don't know what the giant massive data point is to say, oh, Mexico's 8th or Mexico's 14th. Because the Copa was just a bunch of snooze fest 0-0s and 1-0s. That's what it was. It was penalties. It was a shitty tournament. It was a waste of everybody's time, quite frankly. And then, yeah, you beat a U.S. team without a lot of star players 2-0 because Raul Jimenez just decides to turn into Superman. Does that mean Mexico's better than the United States? Of course not. Is Raul Jimenez going to be able to play like that every game? Of course not. So how do you look at that? I'll give you my list. At 13, I have Peru. Then at 12, I got Bolivia. I got Panama 11, Mexico 10. So I think I've said my piece about Mexico. I think it is so close. I think Mexico has more attacking talent than Peru, and I think Peru's defense is not much better than Mexico's, so therefore I just freaking put Mexico at 10. Already said my piece about Panama at 11, Kings of Central America, just the most wasteful team on this list. I'll jump to Peru at 13. So I think under Fossati, they've been extremely good defensively, but outside of Piero Quispe, there's nothing going on offensively for this team at all. Horrible to watch. It's 5-3-2, park the bus time, just chill. They will occasionally terrorize their way to a result, like they did against Uruguay, off a set piece, just a header. That's the only way these guys can score. There's not really any talent here. I hate to say this. I like Peru, but there's just nothing to really get hype for here. But the reason I had them 13 above, a Jamaica who weren't ranked, or a Costa Rica, or a Honduras, is because, similar to what I said about Jamaica, if those three teams had Peru's schedule, they would probably have 3 points in qualification so far. So I think Peru are battle hardened, and they're not pushovers. These guys fight hard. That's why I have them 13, but they're not very good. They're just not a good side. And at 12, I got Bolivia. And honestly, I wanted to put Bolivia even lower. And I'll tell you why. It almost felt a little bit like I was cheating putting them higher, because they're clearly only here due to altitude, right? So I kind of had a moment in the shower this morning. I was like, if I'm putting this list together for seasoned CONMEBOL, CONCACAF experts who understand the context, I'm comfortable putting them 12th. But if we have for some reason, a large Japanese or Korean audience watching this video who may not be that familiar with the rules and regulations of CONMEBOL, I almost feel like I'm lying to them by putting Bolivia 12th. Because let's be very clear. If Bolivia, Peru, Chile, and Costa Rica all make the 2026 World Cup, guess who is 100% not making it out of the group? Mother effing Bolivia. They will never make it out of the group. Costa Rica, 50% chance, because those boys get up for the tournament. And Chile and Peru, they could terrorize their way to something. Bolivia need the altitude. So to, I guess, bridge the gap, to kind of be fair to both sides, I have put them 12th, but on neutral ground, they are not a top 15 side in the Americas. I mean, you let Ecuador, a misfiring Ecuador, score 4 against you. Argentina murdered them 6-0 away. They've lost pretty much every away game in the last 2 years, except for Chile, which is why I have them above Chile. That's it. Altitude merchants, I'm sorry. Ass at the Copa America. Lost to a Mexico B team. Yeah, there's nothing here. But I got them 12 because they are good in El Alto. That's it.
And they are good in El Alto. They're not bad. They're not mediocre. They're not decent. They are good.
They're a good team. They're a strong side. Strong team at home. So that's why I put them 12.
Fair and valid. So what are we moving into?
Should we do 9 and 8 at the same time?
Yeah, 9. You know what? Let's go 9, 8, 7. And mostly because 7 and 8 I have tied. 7 and 8 spot almost indecipherable here, and this is probably where I'm going to start catching flack. But let's start off with 9. I've got Venezuela at 9th, and the only thing that separates them is their strength of schedule. They have no wins in the last 5 games, but they do have draws against Brazil, Argentina, and Uruguay, the perennial top 3 of CONMEBOL. You've got draws against them.
Can I jump in? I also have Venezuela 9.
Now, I will say that all 3 of those games are at home, and it seems a little unfair for me to put that as such a negative for Bolivia, but then sort of hail Venezuela for it. But, I mean, it is what it is. There's no altitude to be spoken of here. There's not a direct advantage.
Well, you know what I would say? I would say one team won 3 games in the group stage at the Copa America and then was eliminated on penalties, and one team got bodied by Panama, USA, and Uruguay. That's what I would say. To the few Bolivians that we have who are so mad right now that they're 12th on my list.
Yeah, to all 6 of you guys. Shout out to Bolivia.
Can you read out those draws for Venezuela? Because I want to make a point here.
So Venezuela, Thursday, November 14th, they drew to Brazil 1-1 at home. The window before that, the first game, they drew against Argentina at home 1-1. And then they drew September 10th against Uruguay 0-0 at home.
That is exactly why Venezuela is above Mexico for me. Because there is no way in hell. Mexico plays 3 games at home. I don't care if it's Guadalajara. I don't care if it's Tijuana. I don't care if it's in a backyard in the Yucatan. There is no way in hell Mexico goes those 3 games in a row and doesn't get murdered in one of them. Period. And you know what? Let me just finish quick. Venezuela were unlucky, extremely unlucky to not win at least one of those.
And I'll tell you something else. No shot in hell that Mexico's scoring a goal against Paraguay at home, because they had that loss. October 15th, Paraguay beat them 2-1 at home. Mexico does not sniff the goal against Paraguay.
Correct. That would be best case scenario, 0-0.
Best case. And that is full, like, terrorist ball, Mexico.
That is, 6-4-0.
Correct. They clone Edson Alvarez 6 times, and they play with, a 4-2 in the back.
We don't even call up Raul Jimenez, Santi, or Henry Martin in the call-up list. We just have center backs.
You ready for my 7 and 8? These guys are tied. I have the USA and Canada, 7 and 8.
Dude, I got the exact same 7 and 8, and I had the exact same thing written down. They're tied.
They're tied. Let's look at these fixtures here. All right. So we've got Jamaica, 2 wins for the United States, a loss to Mexico, and then we have a win against Panama and a tie against New Zealand. Then we're going to go to Canada. Canada has 2 wins against Suriname, a win against Panama, a draw against Mexico, and a win against the United States. Those are very good, and they have really good performance of the Copa America. That being said, if Timothy Weah doesn't get a red card, this whole conversation is different. This
Wait, you're
whole
adding context
conversation
to
is
a
different.
result?
I'm adding context to a result, which is not
Holy
something.
shit.
And I think we talked about this. I think we talked about this in the moment. I said nobody's going to give a damn about Timothy Weah. The result stands as it is. But I think in a situation like this, where Canada's recent results are very, very good, you have to look at the tournament and think what would have happened there. Because frankly, I don't know. The United States, you could have more of a basis for an argument as to why they are better. And I think both teams with a new manager jump. There's just a lot of parallels that I'm seeing here. And frankly, I think that the United States, we just haven't seen them all out yet. They're gathering power. They're like setting their feet. Canada scrambled and they're finding momentum. They're eking it out bit by bit. We haven't seen a full power United States yet. We have not.
Yes, I think that was well said. The one reason I have USA 7 and Canada 8 is because the United States have dominated the CONCACAF Nations League. There is one thing and one thing only that has Canada below the US in my power rankings, and that is a trophy. And if I have another Canadian comment down below that you guys won the fucking Gold Cup in 2000, let me tell you right now, we don't care. We're talking about this generation, not all time. This team is stacked. Go out there and win the next edition. When are the games? March or June, something like that? Doesn't matter. Win the tournament. This Canadian side is incredible. They have the perfect blend of personnel and strategy. Even the guys that are like supportive players, Ali Ahmed, Schaffelberg, balling out. You got the best center back in CONCACAF, Bombito. You got Dane St. Clair, who's pretty much tied with Crépeau for the starting goalkeeper position. You got way better depth there than the United States. Get it done. Get it done. We're not Canada haters. We're Canada lovers, which sounds weird. Don't send this to our girlfriends. But you gotta do something with this current crop. And to be fair to Canada, I'll end it. Someone call an ambulance. And no, Connor and I prefer a Latin flavor.
I was about to say they're both from south of the border. I don't know.
Yeah, they are. Where was I going with this? To be fair to Canada, and you disagree if you want to, Connor. This is not a fact. This is my opinion. If the 3 previous editions of the Nations League had all been hosted in Canada, like they were all hosted in the United States, I do think John Herdman would have gotten 1.
Yeah, and I think if we had seen a Canada that looks like this one in the past 3, oh, without a doubt, they might have even gotten 2, frankly. But they didn't. They didn't. Full stop. And we're talking about right now modern. If we're making a living, breathing list, I'm sorry, I can't put you there. For me, at most, at best, it's tied. Full stop. We have to see. If we're doing if, buts, and maybes about Canada, then I'm fully licensed to give you an if button maybe for a United States who is not at full power yet. We haven't seen them. We do not know what they're capable of. I look forward to it. You know, this isn't me sitting here, glazing them. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that the United States has the potential to be top 3 or even top 5 in these rankings at full power, quote unquote. But whether or not they're going to be better than Canada, there's too many intangibles. So we need more of a sample size here, is I think what I got to say.
Look, the United States are a strong team, but the results in the last 12 months are far inferior to what Canada's done. Hands down. Far inferior. You were the first ever host of the Copa America to get grouped. I don't care that it was a Tim Weah red card. Colombia was down 10 men and they beat Uruguay in the semifinal. What's your excuse? I'll put it this way, Connor. Imagine it's like this in my head for the Canadians who would say that they are better. And again, it's only the trophy thing. I don't mean to beat this dead horse, but I'm going to make this comparison because I just feel like maybe this will help a little bit. It's like arguing that Colombia, who I'm a massive fan of, it's like arguing Colombia's the best team in South America. It's like, brother, you've won 1 Copa America, and ironically, it was also 23 years ago, just like Canada's last trophy. So it's actually a perfect comparison. Yeah, Colombia are fire, but where's the results, bro? You don't have any. That would be the thing for me. Like, that's why we'll get to the top 5 soon, but all Canada need, man. It's all Canada need, and I'll say, US gets a 4th, they win the Nations League again, they cement that they're better than Canada. Locked in. Okay, let's do 5 and 6 at the same time.
This one was a big one for me,
This was tough. This was really tough.
but I feel at peace now that I've made the decision. Do you want to go first or you want me to go first?
Let's do 4, 5, and 6. Let's keep doing the threes in a bunch.
Woo! All right, here we go. God, this might be a little too much to chew all at once. All right, you or me first.
You.
All right, so my 6 is Uruguay.
Okay.
My 5, shout out, I'm going Ecuador.
Oh, man.
Number 4 is going to be Brazil.
Okay. We have the same 4, 5, and 6,
You serious?
but in different order.
Different order. Okay.
I have Brazil 6, Uruguay 5, and I got Ecuador 4. Can I just say real quick, do you remember when we were doing the Copa America preview and we were like, oh, the US is probably slightly better than Ecuador? Like that was like a conversation. We were like, they're kind of tied, but I don't know, blah, blah, blah. Ecuador doesn't have the offense. And here we are later. I'm like, there's no way the United States would get the results that Ecuador have gotten with their schedule. Absolutely not. There is no universe in which the United States goes into the Barranquilla and beats Colombia with 10 men. Would never happen.
Not happening ever. I don't know if they could do it with 11 men. Those 2 goals that they gave away against Jamaica? No, sir. Guess who's not doing that? Ecuador. And you know what? Maybe I'm feeling passionately about this. I probably should touch on Uruguay before I jump straight to 5. But let's talk about Ecuador. We're here. Let's talk about it. They, to me, feel like 2 different teams, much in the way I relate them to Bolivia a lot. You do one thing so freaking well that it is beyond reproach. You do one thing perfectly, and that is their defense. There's not a better defense, at least not in the Americas. We can go and talk about Europe, but I'd say even that it's close. They're top 3 defense probably in the world, and dude, I just can't. You cannot leave them out of the top 5 with the fact that they are so high up on the table now, and I think the only thing that keeps them from being top 3 is the fact that they cannot score goals. They cannot score goals. And that is something, dude, that's something that Uruguay and Brazil can do. Do they do it well? No, but they do it. They're doing it at least.
I'm glad we're having this conversation because we had a lot of Ecuadorians who were saying that we hate Ecuador, which could not be further from the truth.
I don't hate Ecuador.
I have 3 Ecuador national team jerseys and a jacket.
The only reason I don't have them is because you can't really find them online. Let's talk about this, dude. I was going through the FIFA rankings, right? In 2019, where do you think they were sitting at?
Dude, 2019, I mean, the 2021 Copa, they were bad. 2019, I'm going to say they were 62.
You are insanely close. They're 65th. Now that might not be super accurate. I don't have an exact date on that. I'm just looking at 65th. Right here. They were bad, right? They're sitting at 24th right now. And I will say that at the beginning of this year, what is that? Okay, December 20th last year and February 14th this year, 32nd and 31st respectively. And now they're sitting at 24th. That's 7 spots that you're climbing in the world rankings up where it matters, right? Where you're hopping and skipping big teams. And this is a team that cannot score, right? Estupiñán is not the player that he used to be. We're not seeing developments. They are literally thriving solely on their defense here. And lately, I would say the rise to prominence of Moises Caicedo in all aspects of his game. You got to give him credit for that. But then let's look at some of their results too. We've got a win against Colombia with 10 men, you said?
10 men in the Barranquilla, Colombia's first loss at home, and God knows how long.
Then they beat Bolivia 4-0, a tie against Uruguay, a tie against Paraguay, and then winning against Peru. 3 of those results are pretty freaking solid. I would say of the 3 big ones, Paraguay, Uruguay, and Colombia, obviously Uruguay is the least impressive one, right? But that's still a draw. That's still a 0-0 draw, and that's probably exactly what they were looking for. They were looking for 1 point there. Paraguay probably scared them with that 0-0 draw. But I mean, you got 2 wins, and you're sitting, are they at second? No, they're in third.
Well, they should be in second because they have -3 points.
And that's something that we haven't even taken into account. That's something that I totally left out of my mind. That's unreal. So for those reasons, shout out Ecuador, top 5, full stop. Nobody does defense better than them. You have to give it to them. It's like, there's got to be like an anime parallel, right? There's got to be like some anime character out there who does one thing, like Rock Lee, or Guy Sensei. They just throw hands. They got no jutsu to speak of. They just got the gen. They just putting hands on people.
Taijutsu.
Taijutsu. Thank you so much.
Genjutsu, that's more. Genjutsu
That's
is
the
like
crazy chakra. That's the one that Itachi does where he like stuns.
Yes, that's I was trying to say who has Genjutsu. That's probably like Bolivia with their home advantage or something.
Straight up.
Because it's not real.
It's all up here.
They are frauds. No.
They just throw hands, and that's a very important part of the game. But my brother, unless you got both, you're not cracking the top 3 for me. And frankly, Uruguay's just been underperforming. They're underperforming. They're not hot right now, so I got to drop them out. To be in the top 5, you've got to have a certain amount of pedigree and momentum here. Uruguay do not have that. They're eking it back slowly. It'll be really helpful when they have their full freaking squad to be, to put behind this crazy Marcelo Bielsa master plan, whatever that means anymore. But you've got to have all the pieces together. You got to have the Triforce together, and you got to have the momentum. Uruguay don't have that, so they can sit at second in the table, but that's by the grace of Ecuador's poor front office management. So send them a fruit basket for Christmas.
Here's why I have Uruguay above Brazil. Because I have Uruguay 5, you have Brazil 5. I have Uruguay 5 for a couple reasons. Number 1, they're 2 points above Brazil in the table. Number 2, they have a better defensive record, quite substantially, than Brazil in qualifying. They also have a better GD because of that. So same goals scored, fewer goals allowed. They did beat Brazil at the Copa America on penalties. Shout out Rochette, MVP. And they did just go in to Brazil and get a draw. And like you alluded to, they've been getting these results through a series of suspensions and injuries because Uruguayans just can't stay healthy, and yet they're still second in the table with the -3 for Ecuador. So I think for those reasons, I have to put them above Brazil. And Brazil just pissed me off, to be honest. And I refuse to have them in the top 5. I have them 6. They're not bad, but they're not good. They're extremely wasteful. I think their midfield's been, no pun intended, mid as hell in the last couple games. I don't think Guimaraes has been good. Gerson, whatever his name is, I don't really think he's been that good. They got kind of lucky against Venezuela. I don't know, man. They're scary, but
No. All this is fair and valid. Can I give you my reason why I do have them up there?
4-0 Peru.
No. I'm giving them credit for what I took away from Jamaica. So Jamaica, I don't like the fact that they have to bring in all these random guys, and that's when you finally start getting performances, and you're like, oh, okay, well, I don't know. That just frustrates me. I see that happen with Brazil, where they're straying away from their superstars, and I'm giving them credit for that. When you bring local guys like Enrique up, I'm like, okay.
Enrique,
thank you.
Yeah.
I don't listen.
You like combined
Portuguese.
Enrique and Enrique there into.
Yeah. Portuguese is a scary language to me, all right?
They got good dance music, though.
Got great dance music. They do a lot of things well. Football just might not be their forte right now, which is ironic. But I think bringing in these guys shows that they have life there and that there's a future beyond the Vinicius parable, which I think is what they have to lean on. And I'm going to give them kudos for that because I just like it. I like that there's a guy coming in and showing all these quote unquote big boys with Netflix documentaries how to do their job.
Yes, you make a very good argument. In terms of depth, Brazil is far better than Uruguay. And I think the fact that Junior has been able to look at the Brazilian league and say, okay, I got to lean on you guys because these, pretty boys over in Europe, they're all frauds. I think that's an incredible thing, but I can't boost them for that. You know what I'm saying? Like, yes, it's admirable. I think it's great. Few national teams can bench or not play Neymar and Vinicius, Matheus Cunha, and still win games. Not a lot of teams can do that. And Brazil are able to do that. So I have them 6th, though, because they needed to beat Uruguay at home. If they beat Uruguay at home in the last game, they're my 5 right now, 100%. But it was just another you almost convinced me you were back, and then Vinicius steps up, and I was like, okay, no, thank you.
You're making a really good point, and I feel like I should concede and drop them out. Like I'm totally fine adjusting that right now. I just don't think I'm gonna do it, and I don't know how much logic there is behind me doing that. I think I'm just still hurt by Uruguay. I can't trust him yet. I've been hurt too recently. I can't put my heart out there again. It's a self-preservation thing.
Nor should you. Uruguay, quite frankly, they don't deserve it.
We're about self-care here at Deadball TV. So go get you a nice face wash, a nice little under eye retinol cream, and go and not watch either of these teams play. Definitely. Can we start talking about the teams that we want to watch play? Do we not talk about anybody?
I can drop my number 3 right now.
Drop your number 3.
It's Paraguay.
It's Paraguay. Interesting. I thought you were a Paraguay simp.
I am a Paraguay simp. I have them 3rd in the Americas. This has never been done before in the history of YouTube.
See, I would say that I'm a Paraguay simp because I have them sitting at at 2.
And I probably understand why you have them at 2. But firstly, let's talk about why they're in the top 3. And that is because they are the scariest team in CONMEBOL right now. Nobody wants to play a Paraguay led by Gustavo Alfaro. That is a nightmare fixture for everybody. And I'm going to be honest, I was waiting for that Bolivia away, right? Because Bolivia had just beaten with 10 men Colombia at home, and they murdered Venezuela at home. And we were saying that prediction. I was like, okay, I think Bolivia's going to win this one 1-0 until somebody goes into El Alto and gets a result. I'm going to keep backing Bolivia here. And they went away and got a 2-2 draw. That for me was massive. The only team to not lose yet in that fixture. Obviously, Bolivia lost earlier in the cycle at a different venue that was not so high. I mean, beating Argentina and Brazil, drawing Uruguay away in Montevideo, drawing Bolivia away. That's a crazy resume in the last couple windows here. Nobody wants these guys. They are terrifying, and I don't think they fluked a single result. I think every single one has been justified.
Every single one of these is hard earned. They worked for it, and yeah, we're seeing a stark rise. They started in July. They were sitting at 62nd, and now they're sitting at 53rd in the rankings. And I don't think that does them enough justice. I think their rise has been pretty meteoric. The important part now is like, how much of a stride do you find? Because Paraguay is sitting at 6th in the table, and what do we have? 4 games or 6 games left? We got 6 games left. Let's see what they can do. But they do not deserve to be at 6 right now, and they're going to be shaking some things up. You want to talk about a wild card here? I think the rest of the folks that have Paraguay on the docket, I mean, they're going to shake up the table.
No, I think every other CONMEBOL team, what would make them happy is if there was some massive tropical storm and flooding in Asuncion that caused mass havoc and washed away the Chaco Stadium. That's what they need right now.
An act of God.
They need godly intervention in the world of South American football.
I'm going to rain on all those people's parade, though. God is Paraguayan right now.
Right now, certainly. I mean, God might be Gustavo Alfaro. He might be on the touchline.
God is Julio Enciso.
Not for Brighton, unfortunately.
Not for Brighton, if they would play him consistently. Es tipo God.
He is tipo God.
The only reason that I do not have Paraguay 3 is because, and I'm going strictly recent form here, Paraguay have not lost a game since the Copa America. Not that they were incredible in it, because we know that they weren't, right?
They were terrible.
Were they terrible, or were they just mediocre? I would say maybe bad, but not.
I mean, they lost to Costa Rica, bro. That's pretty damn bad.
But maybe you can attribute that to like South American arrogance.
You let Vinicius score a brace. Do I need to keep going? They were bad.
They were bad. I'm comfortable saying bad. The point is, though, since then, they have not lost a game. Since the Copa America, Colombia has lost 3. They've lost more games than they've won. And I think that's an issue. That's an issue for me, and that's something where I've got to say, okay, well, maybe the overall quality of Colombia, in my opinion, is better. But if you want me to rank them right now, as an Argentine, I'm more scared to play Paraguay right now than I am to play Colombia. And maybe that's because Paraguay have our number, and maybe that's a mental thing that I've got to get over. But I think I would respect and be more afraid of them than I would Colombia. And for that reason, I've got Colombia 3 and Paraguay 2.
That's a totally fair argument. And I think I have Colombia 2 because recognizing there's been a massive dip in form since the Copa America, they still made the finals. I still think they were the best team in that tournament, even though they didn't win. And I'm just holding on to my stock while the dip, the stock's going down. Everybody's panicking. I'm not even saying I'm buying more. I'm just not selling.
No, you're holding. You've got faith. You said I allocated my funds here. I've allocated I placed my trust appropriately, and I'm going to see it through. I'm here for that. I'm here for that as well.
I still think Colombia have the best resume in the last 12 months of any team in the Americas. I mean, some of the guys they've taken down is ridiculous. Brazil, Uruguay, Spain, Argentina, the USA, Romania, Japan, Germany. It's ridiculous. And there are many more wins, by the way. Those are just kind of the highlights. I'm just not panicking as much as other people are panicking. We talked about this in our CONMEBOL November recap. You can find that on the channel. The difference between Colombia dropping games and Brazil and Uruguay dropping games is I just think Colombia are getting a little unlucky. I think Uruguay was genuinely terrible football, like surviving. Colombia are they can't hit the broadside of a barn right now. So once that fixes itself, once Lorenzo, I pray, starts John Duran going forward.
Scored another goal this weekend, by the way.
Probably off the bench, right? I'm guessing he didn't start.
I actually don't know. I couldn't tell you.
Well, it doesn't matter for the sake of this video, but there's like 1 or 2 minor adjustments to getting Colombia back to where they were. They haven't had Jefferson Lerma recently. I know Daniel Munoz missed games. I'm not too worried, right? right? Like they're dropping because I think they're getting a little unlucky and they've been missing key players. So I have them too. I'm not panicking yet, but if you have Paraguay above them right now, I'm not mad about that. And I guess that means we both still have Argentina number one.
We still have Argentina number one. And this one, I mean, I'm Argentine. I don't know how much you guys want to hear me talk about this. I'm not going to sit here and simp over them. They're still the winners. They're the World Cup winners. They're a perennial team. This team will go down in history as having played the best World Cup final ever. And full stop. Full stop. They're the underdogs, and they did it with Messi. And I think the only fault that you can give them now is that they look uninspired lately when they play. But I think that they are coasting just like they did after the World Cup, just like they did before the Copa America. It's kind of coasting. Frankly, I think the next step is to see some heavy rotation and see if we can get them firing without Messi, because that is the next step. That the next step is Messi plays for 20 minutes at the end of the game, like Thierry Henry at his end of his tenure in Arsenal. And you just got to find something to light the burner and to get them flowing fluidly, because the only fault you can give them is looking a little bit uninspired right now. I still think that there's a world where they come back, and if they don't maintain, or if they don't come back to, I think it'll be difficult for them now with how good Ecuador is to find that number one defense in CONMEBOL and the Americas again. But if not one, they can do two. And there is a world where they find that number one offense again.
Yeah, I'll say very concisely, I don't think there's an argument for Argentina to not be one. It's not even that I need to make an argument for. There's no argument against, right? Innocent till proven guilty. What is the prosecution saying? You won the Copa America, you won the World Cup, you're first in the table. What are we talking about here? Oh, okay. So you lost to Paraguay away and Colombia away, both by a score of 2-1. Okay, most teams are losing that right now. You think Argentina is just going to plummet down the ranking because Paraguay beat them in the Chaco? No. There's no argument that Argentina is not number one. Like, yeah, they look a little uninspired. That's a great way to describe them. So what? The uninspired Argentines are number one in the table. Okay, case closed, Your Honor. I got nothing else to say.
Full stop. It is very simple. It's cut and dry, clean. It just is what it is. Frankly, I wish there was something more exciting to say up here. I wish I had more news. I wish I could come up here and, get on a soapbox about Argentina. There's nothing more that I love to do than to do that. I feel that sort of stuff in the classroom all the time. Everybody wants to come in and tell me all these things, and it's very easy for me. I just feel like I'm repeating myself. Like, genuinely, at least Manchester City's giving me some intrigue right now. It's tough. I wish I had something more entertaining for you guys right now.
No, we're not there yet with Argentina. I mean, you guys got to lose a couple more games, actually get upset a few more times before I start panicking whatsoever with this team. And hopefully the entertainment is not from our Argentine rants, but from the previous 57 minutes of footage that we just spent ranking all the teams in the Americas. And guys, I think we're going to end the episode there. This is our first ever edition of the combined Americas ranking. We will do an update about this. Probably not every window. That's a bit too much, but maybe every 2 or 3 windows. So to see that and all the other CONMEBOL and CONCACAF content here on Deadball TV, make sure you hit subscribe. Drop a like on the video if you enjoyed. And if you're listening on streaming platforms, please get the podcast a 5-star rating. We appreciate you guys for watching. We'll see y'all in the next one.